Coming up on Exposure, Tom McKnight spent years working in the oil and gas industry as a truck driver, hauling condensate, crude oil, and waste, and using his brine truck to vacuum out frac tanks and pits. What he describes offers a window into how risk, regulation, and responsibility are handled or not handled across the industry. This is Exposure, and this is our conversation with Tom McKnight.
I did end up getting cancer. Did working around this brine, which is radioactive brine, and spilling it and running on the dusty roads and eating my lunch after I just pulled off a wet pair of work gloves while I'm loading the truck. Did that have anything to do with me getting cancer? Nobody knows for sure. But I'll tell you, I really am angry with when I got into the industry. We had a very in-depth week-long orientation, and they went through everything, and they did a really good job on how we conduct ourselves at the well pads, introduce ourselves to the company men, wearing the equipment that they wanted us to wear, hooking and unhooking the hoses. But when the subject of radiation came up, the safety manager basically says, you're not going to get any more radiation from this than you are on those cell phones you play with. So being the optimistic new employee I was, I bid on it hook, line, and sinker and never even thought about it after that. Never thought about it. So when you talk about resent, yeah, I'm a little angry over that. If I was presented with the job, the possibility of radiation, maybe 8 radiation monitors, and proper equipment, like a rubber glove instead of just cloth mechanics gloves, whatever, I would have probably still taken the job, but I'd at least had my eyes open.
And maybe protected you.
Oh yeah, and hopefully,
yourself.
Hopefully protected. If it meant wearing a mask, a respirator, I probably would have done it. Now they probably would have had to pay more to get drivers to do it, because as a group of employees, my company was filling seats as much as they could, and they had to get anybody they could.
So can we go back and just set the stage here? So you're how old at this point? You get into what industry?
I drove truck way back in the early 80s, and I've always had my CDL license. I've always been around equipment. And so I just thought, well, I'm going to try it. And in a Sunday afternoon, I got in my car and I drove up by one of these trucking companies and was going through the yard. And a guy come out and asked me what I was doing. And I basically introduced myself. And from then on, I just got hired and went through their program and started making, to me, what was pretty big money for a very little work.
Mm-hmm. Driving oil and gas waste, a brine truck.
Yeah.
They call them bottles or.
Yeah, I lied to them. I told them that I didn't know how to drive a tractor trailer rig because I wanted the easiest job possible. and I was driving, they in the industry, they always refer to them as baby bottles and derogatorily refer to them as baby bottles. And it was good. I liked it. It was such an easy job. All you had to do is put your hard hat on when they told you to put your hard hat on, and just follow the directions. It was no big deal. And when I first got into it, it wasn't just hauling the brine. It was all kinds of great things. I mean, it was working on the pads with a lot of activity and people doing all different jobs and equipment running around. And I was basically a janitor. Using my 2-inch hose and a plastic wand to vacuum water up out of wherever.
Are you serious?
Yeah, wherever anybody made a mess, I'd vacuum.
With no like
FR, no, FR is all they required.
What, like a canvas material?
Fire resistant. Yeah.
Fire resistant.
Yeah. In fact, I have FR pants on today, and that's all they are. Just blue jeans that don't burn. Yeah.
And so when you started, was this like conventional oil wells, or was this fracking right off the bat?
This was the new horizontal wells. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't just call them fracking wells because that's just one part of it.
Mm-hmm. But unconventional oil and gas drilling. Yeah.
Horizontal. Yeah. And really, I would say conventional wells there's a few going in here and there, but yeah, everything's horizontal now.
So like a truck leaks or something blows out of the wellhead, so you were the guy that actually also cleaned up all that mess?
Yeah.
And then I've heard a story. Can we go right?
Yeah, go for
it. So you've got the brine truck. Now, that's not what you went in and were cleaning out. You were cleaning out a vac truck when you went in and said you got burned. What was that?
Oh, okay. So that was a series of frac tanks. And these frac tanks were at a well site after they brought the well online. So what happens is you drill the holes, then they come in and they frack, and they go down in and they go way out, and they put explosive in there, and they fracture the pipe and the ground around it, and then they put a rubber plug in it. Then they come up and they put an explosive in, and they frack and break it again, and then they put a rubber plug in. So they have a series of rubber plugs that go all the way up. So when the fracking leaves, the well can just sit there. Sometimes they're busy. Somebody might not come back for months or maybe even a year, and sometimes they'll move in the next day. But what they do then, they bring them online, and they have another rig that comes in and goes down and drills those rubber plugs out. So that water is black and greasy, and it's been down there for a long time. So it had a long time to accumulate the radon in it, and it comes out at it. I've heard 7,000 pounds head pressure coming up, and that's the one where the guys are up on a derrick, and they're pulling pipe out, and the guys are sitting around and it's spinning off. And if you've ever pulled a straw out of a soda pop with your finger over the top, that's how these pipes come out. Okay. And then when you let it loose, it splashes everywhere. So all around the bottom of the derrick's usually wet, and they have wells. They call them wells, where the wellhead comes up, and it's open usually 8 or 10 feet down. And then when they get everything together, they'll put gravel in that. But while we're working around there, those are open, and they fill up with water. And I got to stick my hose down in there and suck them out occasionally. And all the water, it spreads. The oil companies, they don't want to see any water, any mess, anything to throw a flag up to the EPA or the ODNR. And so they would hire us trucking companies in their bottle trucks to do cleanup and clean up. And then that's just at the wellhead. And then that water coming out, which is under high pressure, they go through another valve and they stick it into these frac tanks, and the frac tanks settle out. So the real hard solids and stuff sort of goes to the bottom. And then frantically, there's trucks pulling water off those frac tanks for, I can't remember exactly how long, but a pretty good couple weeks.
Yeah.
And so they're running all that water out. And meanwhile, they have the permanent tanks that'll be at the well when everybody leaves, being installed and piped and whatever. Okay. So meanwhile, these are the ones where they're bringing it online. That's the dirtiest, nastiest water. I think personally, it's the most dangerous time around the well for people getting hurt and stuff. And a lot of kind of a panic situation, because those frac tanks that get up close to full, and this ain't stopping. But I mean, they can't stop bringing it online, and a lot of high pressure to get the stuff out. So anyhow, getting back to the sunburn day, those were the tanks that I was cleaning out, and they were all empty now. And they had the sludge in the bottom, and then a couple inches of water that you couldn't get out by just hooking up normally and doing opening the valve and sucking them out with like a 3-inch hose or a 4-inch hose. So what I did was opened up the manholes, which are, I'd say 18 inches, 24 inches.
Yeah.
And I opened them up, and I'd stick my head in, and I had the 2-inch pipe, and I got my headlight on. And I can go down and I see where the water is. I just stick the hose down in there and pull the bottoms out, the water out of that.
With nothing on but a headlight.
Well, hard hat.
And a hard hat.
Yeah. and mechanics gloves.
Mhm.
Yeah. No respirator, no face mask, no rubber gloves, no Tyvek suit.
Mhm.
So here I am. You just can't see where to put the hose without looking in. This one particular time, that night when I got home and I stripped off my shirt, and I had like a suntan from where my hard hat stopped down through the V of my shirt, and from the edge of my shirt to the edge of the gloves. And I
Like
thought,
a sunburn?
yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was like a sunburn. It hurt. And
Like if you welded without
yeah,
protection.
yeah, or spent the day at the beach. Yeah. And so anyhow, I thought, holy cow, that salt water really reacted with me today. And I didn't think anything of it. And until
how did you, when were you alerted?
I was really never alerted until I stumbled across the article that Justin Noble wrote and was published in the Rolling Stone magazine.
Mm.
And of course, everybody I worked with read that article because, and I'm terrible with names, I'm so sorry, but the one disposal site over by the Kmart in Cambridge, which is right in town, by the way.
Silcor.
Silcor, yeah.
Silcor.
He had Silcor, the picture of Silcor on the cover of the Rolling Stone. And I had already been diagnosed with cancer, and I was recovering from thoracic surgery. So my chest was open and wired closed. And I read that article and I thought, holy shit, I know that place. And of course I paid more attention to the article again. And then I contacted Rolling Stone and said, hey, if there's ever a way to get hold of the author to this article, please pass my name on. And that's where I started putting two and two together. It's like, yeah, I was in it. I was there. I'm that guy. I'm their poster child. That's what I'm thinking to myself. And so that's when I started putting the pieces together, way long after it happened.
And you'd already been diagnosed with cancer.
Oh yeah, I'd already had 6 pounds of cancer taken out of my chest area, be around my heart and behind my lungs. By that time, it was in my lymph nodes, and there was a tumor in my liver, but everybody was afraid to say it was the same thing. And if it wasn't going to grow, we're going to just sort of watch it. And I had nodules, had cysts or tumors taken off the bottom of my lungs. Yeah.
Now, is there like a term for the type of cancer that you have?
It's called thymoma.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly why it's called thymoma, but apparently we have a thymus when we're young that is about as useful as an appendix. And it does something to young people, and then it's supposed to just sort of shrivel up and go away when you get older. Mm-hmm. So whether it just happened to be in that spot, or whether it calcified or what, but the main softball sized tumor, I think, was probably what was left of that thymus, and then the other stuff he just called fatty tissue or whatever.
And do you have any sense of like, is this like a rare cancer, or is it?
They say it's an extremely rare cancer.
Mm.
So like I went to Timken Mercy Medical Center when I first was sore. I thought I was having a heart attack, and it came on. Like I said earlier, I was explaining how maybe in retrospect it was coming on slow, but how I found the cancer was at 3 o'clock I woke. I'm working nights. At 3 o'clock,
Still driving truck.
Yeah.
Still driving a brine truck. Yeah.
No, I was actually hauling crude oil and condensate. Then I'd moved to a different company.
Okay. But that's still oil and gas.
Yeah. Still oil and gas.
Condensate is dangerous too, right?
Oh, and long time ago, the facade of me not being able to drive tractor trailers.
Okay, out the window. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, I was actually, that was the best place I ever worked in my life. Even made even more money. And the benefits were great and silly stuff, but it mattered to me. The lockers were full size, and they gave us uniforms for every day of the week instead of just 2 pair. I mean, this place was first class. But anyhow, I went to work at 3 p.m, and on my way to work, I ate a banana. And by 6 o'clock at night, was like, man, I'll eat a banana and just don't feel right. I called my wife and I said, Kimmy, I said, I just don't feel right. I said, banana's just laying heavy on me. By 10 o'clock, I couldn't even lift the hose up to put in the hose tray on the trailer to put my gear away. I hurt so bad. And I just thought, man, I'm having a heart attack. I gotta get to the hospital. So of course I took my truck back to the terminal and I refueled it and I parked it and I got in my own car and I drove up to Canton and it said Heart Center on the big letters up there. And I went up and I pulled on the door and it was locked. And by then I'm just furious. So then I went around the building and I went into the emergency room door that was open. And the receptionist, I said, hey, I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. So anyhow, they determined that, yes, indeed, I had this really extreme rare form of cancer called thymoma. And I don't know what the exact numbers are, but nobody's ever heard of it. The lab test come back and said that's what it was. They had no way to do with it.
Did you think at that moment or soon after that maybe do you have flashbacks of when you had the burn? From being in the tank?
Never entered my mind at that time at all. It was just like,
because you hadn't seen the article yet. Right.
Just thought it was dumb luck.
Yeah. Just thought, damn my luck.
When you get diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, do they ask you what you did for a living or like where you've been or any kind of like exposure assessment?
Not a word. They don't want to know. All they want to do is treat you for what you got now.
Yeah.
They don't want to take the chance of being drug into court. They don't want to hear me going, I'm a poor victim. I don't know what they don't want to hear, but they sure don't want to know about it. They just want to fix me from this point on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless there was no diagnosis, unless they're trying to figure out what's wrong with you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. If there was no diagnosis and they were hitting, maybe they would be doing investigative queries. Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, they know what it is, but people say there's no death panel. I'm telling you, there's a death panel. Those doctors stood at the foot of my bed arguing about whether I was a candidate for surgery or not.
In front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you like that or not like that?
I kept my mouth shut and listened. And an intern and a pulmonologist came the next day. And the pulmonologist basically said that they determined they were not going to do the surgery. Or any surgery, not the surgery, any surgery. And the intern went out with the pulmonologist and he turned around and he come back in and he said, look, he goes, it's kind of not my place to say this, but he goes, get out of here now, go to Cleveland Clinic. They will take it out.
No way.
Honest to gosh. So
I have chills.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did he save your life?
Yes, he did. 100%. Guaranteed that man. I don't even know his name. Yeah. Oh, goodness.
It's so great. I mean, I'm just saying the gifts we get, you never know how you're going to, what you're going to do that day or how you can help someone or, you know?
Well, I was helped a lot. He was a good guy. Mm-hmm. But me being the manipulative guy I am, I kind of got the idea that the surgeon didn't want to do the work because he was afraid of his failure rates at the hospital going down.
The one that said he wouldn't do it originally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I called him and I said, look, I'm under the impression that you really don't want to do this surgery because of your failure rate. You don't want, and he took offense to that. He was really mad. Imagine that. And I said, but here's what I think. I think if you're willing to take the chance to do it, you're so worried about it that you'll make sure it succeeds. And he decided to do it. So I got my surgery done there at Timken Mercy. And
by the doctor said he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Interesting, Tom.
Yeah.
But how did you That's just because you thought because he was nervous about it, he would do it. I mean, that's
and at that time, I was still thinking, why would I want to go all the way to Cleveland to get an operation?
So then from that surgery to the Justin Noble article, how much time was between those two?
So
points?
I'm very vague and I'm chronologically flat. Okay, my memory, for some reason, I don't know if it's a mental thing or what, but chronologically, when I look back, everything was just yesterday. Mm. But anyhow, if my memory serves me right, I still had the stitches and the staples when I come across that article. So I could look and find out when the article was printed at Rolling Stone. And I had the operation in, I want to say like October of 2019. Mm-hmm. So when did it come out? November maybe, or yeah. But I'm reasonably positive it was between my operation and when I got my radiation.
And so when you're reading that article, like what does that feel like?
Was it instant? Like, oh yeah.
Yeah. It was seriously. It seriously was. It was like the light being turned on. It was like, holy shit. And that's when I'm looking back and I'm thinking about the guy in the orientation, and I'm thinking about the sunburn day, and I'm thinking about stepping in slime and falling and totally just being in a bath in it, and everything that came. And it wasn't just one thing. Sitting at the back of the truck eating sandwiches while the truck loads, and all the dust, and every time you hook up your truck, okay, and you got a 3-inch hose here and it's vacuuming on, and you shut this valve off and you open this, but still there's a little bit of water in that hose, okay? And if you spill more than a cup of water on those well sites, you're supposed to write yourself up as a report. So
do people do it?
Hey, I was good. I never spilled a drop.
So there's a way to do it without spilling.
Right. I hook away from the truck, pull the hose up, and drain it all into a pan that's at the back of the truck behind the thing. And then we had little hoses rigged up where we could clean up our mess. Mm-hmm. Every time I loaded and unloaded, I was in that water. Every single time. Mm-hmm. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't occasional. Every time I hooked the hose up and loaded that truck, I cleaned out that water because
with what?
The little vacuum loader.
With cloth gloves or
mechanics gloves. Mm-hmm. And they would get wet. And I had 3 pairs. I would have I'd start out the day with 3 dry pair, and as they got wet, I would put them up on the floorboards like if it was cold out for the heater to blow on them, and I'd get the other dry pair out, and they were never clean again.
Take your gloves off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're touching your eyes, you're rubbing your eyes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you're blowing them on, if they're on your heater, that's all blowing.
Oh, for sure.
All over your cab.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. I mean, I just can't imagine me developing cancer in the 3 years I worked there and others not, or maybe, are they going to get it eventually? Is this going to turn out like asbestos where hundreds of thousands of people are going to come up sick? Mm-hmm. That's what I think is going to happen.
So you said kind of when you were starting out and you had these orientations that the subject of radiation came up. How did it come up? Did someone ask about it? Or?
Yeah. One of the guys in the orientation asked. And I'll tell you another thing too. That guy never came back. Mm. And I just thought, he's like, screw this. But what? In retrospect, I imagine they probably said, you're not going to be a good fit here. Mm. And
yeah, what was the culture like as far as working for these companies? I mean, because that is something that I've heard from others as well, that if you make a little noise, you're kind of out. Yeah. Is that what it was like? Oh,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it certainly was. And they want to, they really didn't even like the fact that I was a local guy working there. They liked keeping people in the hotels where they had nothing but sleep and go back to work, sleep and go back to work. And we, I don't know if there was an exemption or if we ignored it or what, but hours of service that the trucking industry has, I'm telling you what, I worked 36 hours straight before. Mm-hmm. grabbing cat naps here and there. And
Driving a brine truck.
yep, driving a brine truck, being on a pad. So I'm operating the brine truck, but I was on the pad for 36 hours straight.
Okay. You're on a pad for 36 hours straight. You're paid to haul fluids on and off.
Yeah.
But that could also include, were you a special case of like, oh, you're also going to use the vac or whatever and clean? Or all brine truck drivers have to do that too?
So a lot of them would put their feet down and say, I'm no vacuum cleaner. And so a lot of guys kind of refuse to do it. Like I've watched people take the tools that you use for when you're doing site work and throw them off their truck before they leave in the morning. So they didn't have to do it. Oh, no, the truck didn't have nothing on it. Well, how can I do it? Because nobody likes doing it. It's sort of like it's more like the menial job, and all the big oil field guys make fun of you for being a janitor. Yeah, I don't care. I loved my paycheck.
So then you were like unique because you were local.
Most guys lived in a hotel and were from Pennsylvania, and our parent company was from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But in addition to the bulk of the people being from Pennsylvania, we had a big influence of people coming out of the Dakotas and Oklahoma, and these people were they were basically itinerants. They were terrible credit, lots of divorces, unhealthy lifestyles. And that's who they want. And what? You're meat in a seat. If you don't like it, we'll get the next guy. And they ran orientation classes almost constantly when I first got in because they just needed people. As I was there, the industry was maturing out and it was starting to get to guys that fit in there. They'd bring their family along or they'd start renting an apartment and stuff and moving out of the hotels. And it was slowly like evolving to become more of a normal job. And I would say, I'm almost sure that if I went and looked at any of the local trucking companies now, it's mostly like just a regular job. I don't think they're running them like that now.
Because there's no need? They don't need that influx because it's slowed down, or why?
Well, it didn't really slow down so much as just matured out.
What's that mean?
What it is like when the industry first comes here, we need 40 trucks today. And entrepreneurs like, I can do it. And they're growing and they're getting what they can do. I don't know how to describe it. It's awesome, actually. I think it's great. As far as when the oil companies come to town, there's no infrastructure. You got your normal population that has their normal jobs that they go to and that. So now all of a sudden there's a brand new industry with a need for people. So they got to do everything. They got to scramble to get people they can get to operate this stuff. And they'll put up with a lot of inefficiencies and a lot of subpar workers and stuff just you go in there and do the best you can. If you screw up, I'll cover for you. And you might get fired, you might not, whatever. Don't worry about it. Just do the job. And it's almost like throwing crap against the wall and seeing what'll stick.
When you talk about it, you seem like you enjoyed it. I
absolutely loved it.
You really did?
Yeah. It was great.
What did you like about it?
I like to work. I like a little bit of physical work, to work hard. I like to sweat. Yeah. I know that's crazy. I also like to work alone. I know I talk a lot, but I also drop F-bombs all the time. And if I see a nick in somebody's armor, I'm going to stick a stick in there and wiggle it around because I'm just that guy. So do I do good in an office environment? No. Am I smart enough to be in a different profession? I kind of don't think cognitively I am, and I'm definitely not disciplined enough to do it. I'm way too juvenile.
So you were kind of attracted to the cowboy nature of it?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Renegade vibe.
Yeah.
Was it consistent? Was there like a routine, or was it kind of chaos?
So I made a routine out of the chaos.
I see.
Yeah. And I was always good at that. Even when I was in management, I would take all my job operations and treat them like they were in little cigar boxes. If it was time to do payroll, I put every cigar box away and I got the payroll cigar box out and I did that. And then I put it away. I didn't worry about it again until Friday. Yeah. So that's what I would do to discipline myself to be able to do these routine things because I hated it. This was great. I'd get up in the morning or afternoon or whenever and I'd pack my lunch and I'd pack enough for if things went to hell and I had to go extra. So, I mean, my lunchbox was huge.
What was the pay like? Overtime? Did you get health benefits?
So when I started, it was $17 an hour.
In 2000?
Let's see, I bought a brand new pickup truck before I quit at the sale, or maybe I bought it right at it. Anyhow, 2014. Yeah.
So the industry hadn't been here too long.
No. I was kind of at the cusp of the beginning, that initial rush where they needed bodies, and it was great.
And
it was great.
Pretty good money for that time, especially in your area.
No. $17 an hour is not that good of money. So until you start hitting overtime, it's a shitty job. But they didn't care how many hours you worked. If you were up and willing to work, they were going to keep you moving.
And overtime's how you got cashed in.
Yeah. And even after it matured out, if I didn't get 65 hours, I was pretty a disgruntled employee. I was mad. And by then I was up to like, say 25. I don't remember exactly. So overtime, what's that put you closer to 40? Yeah. Overtime was the reason to be it
I mean, that's pretty common in a lot of trades too. The overtime is what really puts it over. Yeah. So what were your routes like? I mean, how far did you have to go every day? Were you doing overnights?
So we did all that. We had it was almost like two divisions. They had regular bid out production wells that were up and running and there. And everybody did that. And that was kind of normal, 12-hour day, whatever. And that was boring. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. There was nothing greater than going out when it was 15 degrees out and the snow would crunch underneath your feet and it would be dark and you'd see the stars in the sky and you could hear the coyotes off in the distance howling around and crying and being by yourself out there and hooking up and opening the valves and loading your truck and reading the gauges and doing the paperwork. And I loved it. But I really liked when we were working on pads, on active pads. And they called that site work instead of hauling brine. And site work was when you got to go in and be part of bringing a well on. And I understand a lot of people were against fracking and stuff. I loved it. It was great. Being a part of that, being a cog in that whole transmission of operation felt good. I liked it.
I can understand that. And if I absolutely get it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Plus, it's part of a team. And
there was camaraderie.
And we're valuable in the sense of we'd be freezing right now if we didn't have natural gas heat. Yeah, I still have natural gas heat. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So on that level, like, if this is about energy, this is about providing something that humanity, Americans, everybody needs, like, that's honorable. But then there's the other side of it, which...
But we're intelligent humans. We should be able to figure out how to make it without ruining the environment or ruining people's health.
Well, why the hell are we even doing it when they know that happens? Like, that's the insanity of it. Like, why are they doing it if they know? I mean,
I think the really smart people, this is just me, I think the really smart people know that this is just a bridge to the next generation. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a nuclear. I would prefer, I think, or wind or solar.
Yeah, I mean, most of the real smart people in the room think that we have to move towards a energy system where it's like everything's on the table and where we are balancing needs. It just seems that there are a lot of folks that are there's a sort of fetishizing of oil and gas that's been there for a long time. When I get it, it's kind of like the coal miners. There's a pride in it, right? And there's this belief, and I'm kind of curious if you felt this. There's this belief that if I'm working oil and gas, it's pro-American. It's like I'm doing something for the country in a way. Yeah. And so there's been this, and there's been so much, billions spent on disinformation about renewables to sort of end that or nip that in the bud. But yeah, I think that most of the sort of sensible perspective that's out there is that we should have it all on the table, and we should be working towards less and less of the fossil fuels.
Yeah. And
because it's not renewable, it's limited.
Right.
It's a limited resource.
That's exactly right. It's a finite resource. It will end.
Right.
You know?
And that was the kind of selling point of fracking in the beginning, was that it was a bridge fuel.
Yep.
But we just haven't seen a lot in action.
We as a country, we set up incentives and stuff to have electric vehicles and stuff as a tax advantage, as an incentive to look that way. And as usual with things that people come up with and kind of want to have a good idea and let's spur the economy on to a certain direction we want it to go, it totally left out the opportunity, or not the opportunity, but the ingenuity and the investment and the drive to create, say, a hydrogen market. So that's where I'm a libertarian in a way. It's like the government should set up the regulations, not set up the incentives for an entrepreneur to succeed.
Right.
You know?
I mean, does that bother you, how much subsidy and support the oil and gas industry gets?
Oh, just right under my skin. It's like, come on, man. It's like welfare for the rich people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so wrong.
Now, what about subsidizing renewables? Because the difference would be, and this isn't necessarily what I believe, but I'm just laying the argument out. The difference is that oil and gas is so established already. It doesn't really need the subsidies, but we're doing it because of political reasons or whatever. Renewables kind of need the subsidies because they are competing with an established market and they need to get off the ground.
Well, first of all, if we didn't have the subsidies for the existing oil industry, it would make it easier for people that were creating renewables to compete. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that part of their cost would be reduced a little bit. I personally, I'm a free enterprise believer, and I don't think that any industry should ever be subsidized by the government. Just look what happened to the farmers. I mean, who makes money in farming? The banks.
When you were running truck, were you're getting covered in brine, dust, all this stuff. Were you bringing all that into your house at the time?
Oh, I was. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that concern you now?
Oh, gosh, no, not really, because I've always sort of done my own laundry and stuff, and it wasn't like I would hang out in my dirty clothes.
You came in, didn't like go sit on the couch or before
yeah. I mean,
you
I did
up.
Sometimes, but not like on a regular basis. Yeah, I mean I would, but I also didn't strip out in the foyer in the mudroom or anything. I didn't do that, like nurses were doing when COVID was going on and stuff. I didn't do anything like that. I had no reason to think that.
But now, don't you think you should even washing this stuff in the same washing machine? I mean, if it's got the radioactive particles on it.
In retrospect, that certainly is like I said, would I have still taken the job had I known the risks? I really think I would have. but I would have behaved a lot differently.
Right.
Do you think like the industry has some responsibility to tell their workers like, hey, you should strip off your clothes when you get home?
Absolutely.
Or before you go, they should have a changing station or a shower changing station work,
well,
right?
And like I said, at the last place I worked, it was the best place I ever worked. They had big wide lockers. They had shower there, a nice clean locker area. They had a great big hopper to put your dirty clothes in.
But so compare that to the first place.
Well, the first place they gave us 2 pairs of pants and 2 uniform shirts for 6-day shifts, and they kind of had a locker room, but I couldn't fit my street clothes in it or anything because they were those real narrow ones that I never even could figure a kid could use. But so we didn't do it. Nobody used it. I tried using the locker the first week or two, and I just gave up and then started driving home in my car in my dirty clothes.
Are you still supportive of the industry? And if you are, what do you think they should be doing differently? Can I ask that?
Oh my gosh. Those trucks need placarded.
Yep.
We need hazardous waste endorsements on our license. We need trained on it. We need the proper equipment. And to be honest with you, I think it'll be really hard to get enough people to do the job it needs done if we had to do that. But as with everything else in America, increase the pay. You're going to get people to fill the slots.
Exactly.
Why would it be harder to find truckers if they did all that?
I don't know how to describe them. I never thought that I was smarter than everybody else, but these people are purposely on stupid.
And these people are who?
My coworkers, people I drive with. People.
Do you think the industry wants those people?
Oh, hell yes.
And why do you think that is? Just so that they ask questions?
Just like they're, for all their loud and bravado and stuff, they're really a compliant workforce. It's just like industries that would only hire women because women were compliant and don't stand up, so they'll work cheaper. And that's where these factories come in. Women get stuck folding boxes and sticking toothpaste in it because they'll just do it and keep their mouth shut, or at least in the 50s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And back in the day, my dad pointed out to me, the only reason uniforms were a thing was because you couldn't have the people being dirty around their work environment. So the uniforms came to keep the products clean, not the workers.
You drove trucks outside of this industry as well.
Yes.
Were you ever in union?
No.
The Teamsters?
No, I worked with the union. My dad's shop was a union.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 60s, when through a course of a lot of things, somebody basically built this business for him because he was really good at it and put him in as a manager. And they invited the union in. They wanted the union back then and stuff. In 1965, it was like a point of pride that we have union mechanics.
Do you have an opinion on unions? Do you think that a union would solve some of these issues in the oil and gas industry or not?
So I have basically positive views of a union, but I don't know how to describe it. When I was in management and had a union, I loved it. I had a book right there. It told me what I could do and what I couldn't do. If it was your turn to get called in, it was your turn to get called in. You signed the agreement. I didn't have to argue and I didn't have to negotiate. So to me, it was just as good for management as it was for the workers. What was bad is every 3 years, these guys started at zero and had to fight to get something. Every year, every 3 years, it was starting at zero. And that kind of sucked. And the other thing was, in my industry, the unions rewarded people that were there longer. And I had a terrible problem with aged men who couldn't perform the work anymore and young guys coming in and not being allowed to do their jobs. So union in just basically, I like the idea of unions, but they can't be run the way they've been run.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to do a union, we need something that's going to recognize, and what I know is truck mechanics. Okay, truck mechanics are required to have all their tools, just like a lunchbox. You got to bring your own lunch. You got to bring your own tools. So what you got is an older guy who's getting close to retirement, and he has all his tools bought, and he's not going to invest in these things because they make payments on them. And you get a young guy who's just starting out, and he doesn't really have the wife and kids yet, and he's investing in his tools, which are more modern, and his boxes, which are more modern, and he's went to college and has new technology. Those men and women need advanced quickly and fastly to get up. These people over here, the older gentlemen, they need a way to gracefully decline and fade out.
Mm-hmm.
Because their joints hurt and they're so I don't know. I don't have the answer to it. Am I pro union or not? I don't know.
Well, I actually think that one of the things I would like to see in our country culturally on all issues is to get away from this pro-anti framing of everything.
Yeah, nothing's cut and dry. Right. Nothing's black and white.
Because I mean, we talk all the time about, we spend so much time trying to convey the issues with oil and gas. But at the same time, we understand that it's a complicated thing. Yeah. And it's not as simple as just coming out and saying, ban this tomorrow.
Right.
Because that's not tenable. Like, you can't do that. Everything would collapse. Yeah. Right. But there are issues that I think we've identified and others have identified where it's like, this is pretty low hanging fruit. Like, be honest with your workers about the risk.
Yeah.
Train them.
Proper PPE.
Right. Label the truck so that if there's an accident, that the local responders in the community know how to deal with it and are protected. And it's...
How in the world did the oil industry get an exemption for radiation when every other industry has to recognize it? How in the world could that happen?
And
where's the sanity in that?
Yeah, these are really common sense things, and it's that pro-anti conversation where that's used to shut the discussion down.
Yes. Yep.
Because it's like, oh, these guys are anti-oil and gas.
Yeah, it's more like, I don't want to think hard on this.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And a lot of this too, it's like, if you fixed this problem, like if you placarded trucks, which would require different insurance, I'm assuming, I would you train your workers, give them proper PPE, that's going to have downstream effects on solving other problems, because now you're raising the cost and you're holding the industry accountable to pay a cost that right now they're able to just pass off to someone else.
Yep. It's a non-cost.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's just a non-cost.
Yeah.
And are they going to volunteer to do it? Probably not.
Right. Well, that's where you get into the tricky conversation of regulations, which has
When I ran my truck body shop, the state of Ohio required you to have a permit if you blow more than 25 gallons of paint in a month, say. Well, that was easy. I only do 4 paint jobs a month, and I won't do 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, right. The regulations have become a dirty word. That's another thing that just is like, we have to have them. It doesn't. We can't let industries just, because I'm not old enough to have been around at this point, but I know people, my father-in-law and others who were, prior to the Clean Air Act in Pittsburgh. Like, do we really want to go back to that?
Yeah. And people now, I very, very vaguely remember, but I don't think either one of you are old enough to know this, but the cars used to rust out from the top. The tops of the fenders and the roofs and stuff would rust out because the fallout from the the acid rain and the steel mills and stuff. Pittsburgh was terrible.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. You go now, and President Trump his administration just yesterday, maybe the day before, had the EPA roll back all kinds of regulation and emphasis. So not only are they cut deep on personnel, they're also rolling back regulation. And people don't remember. You guys don't remember what it was like when Cuyahoga River caught on fire. I remember it being in the news, and I remember the cars rusting out, and I remember everything always being grimy. It was just, everything was grimy. The houses were dirty all the time. And we're going to go back to that. And there's no excuse.
But now the pollution with oil and gas, you can't see it.
Oh yeah.
That's the most dangerous part about this, is they can get away with it because it's invisible.
Yeah, it's like diabetes. It's a silent killer. It creeps up on us and don't know. And being around this and becoming more educated, the blinders just keep getting raised on me for new things, like the Permian Basin in Texas. Billy Randall just posted a article for all of us to read yesterday about a brand new 2,500 unit housing development in Texas with a public school and everything over top of where they spread radioactive oil field waste in like 2011, covered it over through grass seed on it, and now they're developing it for housing.
Well, and that brings up Billy Randall, and you are a member of Truckers Movement for Justice.
I guess I am a full-blown, honest-to-goodness member.
Someone was a better salesman than you.
Yeah.
And I just have to say that maybe we could talk about the meeting with that you and Billy Randall and I from Truckers Movement for Justice went to, which is the first time I met.
He fit exactly what I would expect a government employee to do. So he was being polite and showing up and had planned on going nowhere with us. You could just tell the nonverbal way he was talking. And he's like, yeah, if you figure out a way to make this where trucks have to be placarded, then we'll police it. I mean, but he's not going to do anything more than he has to do. He made me feel like even if he was in the position to help, it would be a detriment to his career to try to get anybody above him to recognize anything new and different. That's kind of what I got. So I don't think he was against us, but he's just like, well, till it becomes a law, there's nothing I can do.
But he did confirm that the sludge and the vac boxes were the hottest, and that some of the stuff is danger. You know, he did admit that there were risks with it and the radioactivity.
But there's no law. It's like, yeah, I know it's bad, but there's no law.
Do you know what he's talking about when he talks about a flash test? Like, he kept saying that's all they can do, which is...
That's volatility, isn't it? That's
like and that's all they test. So.
That's the conversation I had to a well inspector for the DEP in Pennsylvania. I asked him, do you look for VOCs? He said, no, we just look for flammable hydrocarbons. They're just looking to make sure the thing's not going to explode.
Right.
And I got to tell you, when I was hauling brine, my truck was explosive a lot.
How do you do that?
So when I'm picking up produced water, when I would have a sight glass.
A what?
A sight glass.
Which is?
A section of really hard plastic that you put in the line when you're loading, and you can see the water going through. And at night with the flashlights on it, the condensate looks like bubbles.
Okay, so what's condensate for people who don't know? Just go into that, please.
So I'm not a chemist, but condensate, if you, for all intents and purposes, it's jet fuel. It's real waxy jet fuel. If you put it on a specific gravity measurer, it is jet fuel. It's right in the same category.
So it comes up with, or it's a byproduct, or it leaks off. What is it?
So every, and I might be wrong here a little bit, and nothing's cut and dried, but for the most part, every well is its own miniature refinery, and they take and do the basic separations when the oil and the natural gas and condensate and everything comes out, and they do some basic separation, and they put the oil and the natural gas in a pipeline and shoot it down. And they got methane that they put on a torch and just burn. Of course, you've seen all that. So the tanks that those big white tanks that I guess are green or whatever. But anyhow,
the tall
cylinder, the big tanks. That's what we load out of when a truck.
Condensate. No, what's that? What is it?
The brine water and the condensate are in together, and as they sit, they separate. Mm-hmm. So the condensate sits on top because the water's heavier than oil. So when we were running production water, okay, we would pull the water down, and then when we got to where you'd see a few little bubbles of condensate, you shut it off. You got everything you can get out of there. From
that clear tube is where what you're talking about. How do you see?
I see it through the clear tube, mm-hmm. but the level in the tank's coming down.
Because when the bubbles start.
I'm sucking the water off the bottom. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's brine. Then you start seeing a couple little bubbles of condensate. You shut her down. You're taking all you can get. Mm-hmm. And when I first started doing that, that's how we would do it. And then if the water disposal places that you go to all the time would also have big tanks and they would separate.
You're talking injection wells, water disposal.
Yeah,
so it's not water, it's the fracking fluid disposal facilities, injection wells. Okay, so you're at the injection well. What happens there?
Okay, this is where it gets sort of not technical. But anyhow, they separate out because they don't want to pump water, condensate down or salt water only down in the ground. They don't want the condensate to go. So they accumulate condensate and sell it. Yeah. Okay, so what I would do, is I'd see those bubbles of condensate coming on, and I'd hold them on for a little longer and maybe put 5 barrels of condensate in there and shut it off. And I'd go to the disposal well, and they would get my brine and then maybe my 5 or 10 barrels of condensate. And then next Friday, there'd be pizzas for everybody because they sold a lot of condensate.
So this is something that we've heard a lot from different workers is how like the bonuses and the pizza parties and the merch cookouts would sort of incentivize behavior that was not necessarily above board.
Yeah, just like I described. So meanwhile, that condensate's very flammable. Now, I drain it out and I drive away in an empty truck that is nothing but gas. It's a bomb. That's a flammable bomb. If I would have gotten an accident and something punctured through and sparked, it would have blown up like a square block in a city.
Are you joking?
No, ma'am.
So, but at any point,
and then the fumes stay there as you load and unload for. It just doesn't rinse out. Mm-hmm. And even if you get just a wee little bit of condensate.
What if you were distracted for a minute or you're doing whatever you're doing and someone's, hey, bud, hey, look at this. Check out this, this girl I saw last night at the bar. Or whatever,
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you got a few. Now,
right? I mean, is that simple to make a mistake?
Or that simple, yeah. That's a very common, what you just described is a perfect example. But what happened was that was happening too much. So then they had us shutting down while there was still like 3 feet of water or salt brine above, so they couldn't get ripped off.
But are they monitoring that?
Yeah, that's all electronic. They
know how much you're taking out.
They do, yeah.
But then did they know you were taking the condensate or not?
Well, I mean,
or somebody did, or
somebody finally opened up the notebooks and said, "Hey, why are we losing so much condensate here?" And then it got addressed. And
so they're trying to collect it.
Yeah.
At the
wellhead. They're trying to get it, or what?
Yeah. So it's in with the brine at the wellhead. Mm-hmm. So when I went to work at that other place, I was hauling condensate. So I didn't want any brine. I wanted only condensate. Mm-hmm. But I was tagged flammable there.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Were you trained? Have special training to haul condensate?
I mean, what do you need trained for? I mean, I took the test.
If something goes wrong, you're gone anyway. So
well, you knew that. I mean, like if you wreck, are you dead? It was a tank full of that.
Yeah, easily you could die. Yeah, for sure. But you can die if you wreck anyhow.
How often are wrecks?
I don't know.
Because you're exhausted. You're working 70 hours a week or something. I
would
say is maintenance like an issue?
The other maintenance. Wow. Depending on the company, how well they do it, right?
You cannot shut the damn truck down just to work on it. Come on.
So that's the attitude.
So I am probably the worst guy you could interview for this. I was on a deal where I was switching out with the same guy every shift in the same truck for a long time, and every day he would write up that the brakes needed fixed, and I would be like, I didn't notice anything wrong with them. And so the day shift would write it up, brakes need adjusted or fixed. I'd write it up. My pre-trip inspection is they're fine. And I never looked at what he did. I didn't know what
you didn't know he was doing that? He was writing the brakes need checked, or you did?
Right. I didn't know, didn't pay attention, didn't care.
Okay.
So I never wrote him up. So the truck never went back to the shop to get worked on. It's out in the field, and we're riding down in a van and doing a shift out. And one day he asked me, he goes, don't you notice these brakes? And my attitude was like, dude, I get paid by the hour. I never hit the brakes hard enough to notice the brakes not working. I do everything slow.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you're night shift too.
Yeah.
So you're not dealing with as much
traffic. Well, no, I was night shift and day shift. Trust me, I didn't use the brakes no matter what time of day it was.
Got it.
But literally, I could go. I played games because I did a lot of the same stuff, and you do get bored. I would go from up on the hills between Jewett. I'm talking a big hill too, by the way. Jewett and Tappan Lake on 646 to down to 250 to 36, all the way to Coshocton to the brine disposal plant, and never hit my brakes.
Just downshifting and knowing how to drive and
just playing. What else are you gonna do? Come on, you make 3 trips a night. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
Tell me about the injection wells. Like, what's it like when you?
Do they ever test with a Geiger counter anywhere?
So there was a disposal site. It was a brand new one, and it was at the old Washington exit. And that was the only place that I was aware that they took a Geiger counter to my truck.
Every time or just randomly?
That place did every time. It was a brand new place, and they had brand new policies in order, and they had brand new employees, and they were trying to watch it.
Did that put any thing on your radar?
Well, sort of. But I mean, it must not be hard, and it must not be bad enough to hurt us. And I didn't have any loads turned away. Mm-hmm. But obviously, if they did it, they probably had loads that got turned away. Mm-hmm. There was another place in Steubenville that we used to take our solids that we would shovel out of the bottoms of our trucks, because every time you haul, you leave a little bit more in, so you lose your lightweight and you lose your capacity just a little bit. So every couple months you got to go in and shovel them out. Or
wait, go in. What does that mean?
Oh, you open it up and you send a guy in
into the back of a brine truck, and
he shovels out the gob and shovels it into a skid steer that's sitting outside. And then they get in with a pressure washer and spray it all down. And they put it into those open top hoppers and let it settle out. And it's really heavy. And then every once in a while, we take it down to a solids disposal.
So those are the vac boxes.
These were open top freight.
Just roll-offs.
Yeah, just roll-off boxes. Yeah.
What was the PPE like for the guys inside the
Let me show you.
What? Are you serious? Will you send it to me? So I don't think I've seen it. Is it you?
No, it isn't me, luckily.
So how often are guys in the back of those trucks?
Well, they had 35 trucks.
That's what it comes out of looking like after
going in and cleaning. See any PPE there?
No.
They did have Tyvek suits, but you can't have a face mask because it's steam up and you can't see.
But it's just like dirt. Is it just like black dirt in the bottom, or what? It's just soil and.
Well, depending on what you're hauling, okay, it could literally be sand and salt.
Sand and salt. Is that mostly what it is? And soil some too, or what? I mean.
Well, that really black stuff is when the truck's been on a lot of the bringing them online, where they're cutting out this rubber and bringing up the really dirty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gets real like that. And then the other thing is I never hauled it. I only hauled it a couple times with the drilling mud. And it was we would definitely have dedicated trucks for drilling mud and stuff because you didn't want to wash them out all the time.
So being on the well pad, you said you really enjoyed that, but was there a general feeling of this is sketchy, this is dangerous, people know what they're doing, they don't? Like, or everybody's kind of happy to be there and this is a dude thing and we're just like, we're doing this, we're getting energy. But was there an element of concern?
No, I would say not. We all felt very confident that we were taken care of. When the new guys were there, you hazed them. When a lazy guy was there, you treated him like shit till he quit. It was just a great place to work. And I mean, there's things that can happen. You can accidentally unhook a hose that has pressure on it and blow and you hurt really bad. But we're all doing our job as best we can. I don't think there's anybody that ever dreamed that they're being like constantly dosed with radiation. Maybe some of the company men might have known, but they definitely played those cards close to their chest.
But I need to say this because I keep hearing it, and this is thanks to Justin, mainly Justin Godsend.
Amazing how dedicated he's been over this.
You say radiation, but there's radioactivity. So the radiation, that you're getting as much radiation as you get from your phone. But it's the radioactivity in the particles, the particulates, the radioactivity binds to the dust, binds to the particles, and then you inhale it. So it's not just like I'm getting radiated, right?
Occasionally, I would go to a pad that had like a radiation detector set up, maybe in a couple different places throughout the pad. And I made the assumption that if it ever got to a dangerous level, the alarm would go off and we'd evacuate the pad and figure out how to fix the problem. So I was under the assumption that was our assurances that wouldn't happen.
And see, that to me, and I'm not a scientist, but I know enough to know that is the wrong way to think about radiation because it's an accumulative impact, right?
Obviously, I didn't know that. I mean, maybe I learned it in when I was 12 years old, and they talked about it a little bit in middle school, but that was the extent of my radiation education.
So now a lot more. You are dealing with your own cancer diagnosis. Now, when you look back, what is your perspective now on how the industry treats its workers? And are workers more educated today than they were? Because, I mean, this issue of radioactivity, like it was in the Rolling Stone article, like it's a little bit more talked about now. Do you think that there's a better consciousness about this issue now?
Among workers.
Yeah, I can only relate to my immediate coworkers that I have tried to reach out to in regards to this. I think that they're waiting for somebody to do something about it, but they also need to work, and they need to make their car payments, and they need to make their house payment, and they're assuming that somebody's going to take care of that problem before it affects them. And I don't think they realize, nor did I, that cumulative thing can really happen. And when I had my radiation for my cancer, where they dosed me with radiation, I asked the radiation oncologist, what if somebody has other doses have hit our limit on radiation? And they're like, we've never heard of that and never thought of it.
Interesting.
Because most people wouldn't.
Right.
So I've had radiation twice, once in my chest and once in my throat. And each time, well, one time when I went in to get my radiation, they put me in a wheelchair and took me around the halls to the emergency room and put me on IVs and took, because I was just so sick. And they want you to go your 33 visits. I mean, I was sick. I was sick as you just, I can't describe how sick I was. And I think that I probably had been dosed a lot. And then when I got on what normal people would have as a regular radiation, I reacted much stronger.
Wow. That makes sense, Tom.
My second round of radiation that I got was, I don't know the exact terminology, but they said, well, our technology's come a long way and we pinpoint the radiation and it's focused in a real small part. I was even sicker, but I made it through to my last one. And then I continued to get sicker for like 2 months after that. And it took probably 6 months to start making the turn and coming back up.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was horrendous.
So sorry. It's so horrible.
Quit doing that.
I'm just saying, but look at him smiling and happy, and he's like, "Oh, it was horrendous." But listen, that's the part that's so inspiring that I just want to honor again.
Yeah, and here we're honoring it by you guys are listening to me, so you are honoring it. And wow, wouldn't that be a legacy to actually be part of making an industry change?
So on that note, what do you hope comes out of this? What do you hope changes?
Well, like I said, I think the big thing is the single biggest thing that needs to happen is the oil industry needs to recognize that it is an issue. And I don't know the names of these things, but it's like the Benson and Bevel
Amendment.
I would say if out of this, if we could get that reversed, that would be just huge.
Yep.
I think things would just start falling into place. Because when I come across people that are interested in this, I naturally assume that you are anti-fracking and we don't want it. And I've never been that. I want the industry, but if we need to do it without killing us.
Do you think that can be done?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but by gosh, we're really smart. We're really smart. We can figure it out. Just like figuring out alternative fuel sources. We'll figure it out.
What do you think about, because obviously the workers are not in a silo. This industry is operating in communities. It's operating by farmers in their backyards. Are you concerned, based on your experience, are you concerned about them? How is this industry possibly impacting kids at a school?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Farmers?
Sure. It's how this is huge. It's going to affect society as a whole. And the more I learn about it, the more scared I get. When I never really gave any consideration to the disposal wells reaching capacity and then popping back out of the ground. I never even thought
conventional wells.
Well, no, the disposal wells.
Yeah, but they're migrating to conventional wells and blowing up, and destroying those that livelihood for those people, and also contaminating. I mean, it's just
yeah. And back in the day of conventional wells, they still fracked those. Okay. I know of farmers that like had they were going to frack over here, and the neighbor had a well over here on the other side of the hill, and they were fracking, and started pumping oil out all over his field over here. And these guys don't know what's going on. This farmer runs around a pickup truck and says, hey, stop. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it's not rocket science. If you think about it, it's really not. Mm-hmm. And I also, on horizontal wells, feel that it's being done. I've read articles on it, and I think they've done it on purpose. The one hot spot that I did haul a lot of production out of was over between Jewett and Tappan on 646 in that area. And there was 2 wells that were, and I could drive to them, but damned if I don't know the name of them. But I am sure that their horizontals are interlaced. And while they were fracking this well, we were pulling production water off of here. We were lined up trucks to get production water off of here when it's never been that way before. So it's not rocket science to know that they were purposely fracking and pushing this out just to hopefully end up with a more productive well. Mm-hmm. So then one step further, go down 5 years, 10 years, whenever the 2 wells are not producing anymore. Mm-hmm. It just makes sense that you would put pressure on this well and push the oil and gas back up this one to give it a new life. Mm-hmm. Like if you make faux wine, you take your mash and you redo it again. So they're just going to get it again. Will be as efficient? No, but guess what? They didn't have to build new wells. They could use what they got.
Yep.
You're doing this like early on in the fracking boom. I've heard this a number of times. Brine trucks pulling up the hillsides and just dumping off the hill or into creeks. I mean, do you experience any of that?
Open the valves off and going on dirt roads and leaking out along the way.
I've never done that, and I've never seen anybody do it. But up in Tuscarawas County, there was a driver and a company, and it was one of those companies that only had 1 or 2 trucks that got caught doing that, I think into the Tuscarawas River or Lawrence Township. It was happening. I remember that hitting the news. And I have seen it done with other things. I've seen it done with people hauling septic waste out and stuff. Hell, that's probably just as bad.
So when you see like a news story like that, do you think are you mad that those truckers did that? Like, sure. It gives a bad name to truckers.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. That's that's a level of that's just a level of criminality. I mean, life is a game of honor, mm-hmm. and you can cheat at anything, and there probably is. Whether you're undercapitalized, you're losing money, you can't make your payroll, you're tempted to do stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's where the government comes in. That's where we need regulations. That's where we need to have the EPA properly staffed so they can make sure things like enforcement. There you go. There's a certain percentage of us that are going to be criminals in every freaking industry.
You also said earlier that you think it's a bridge. Do you think that it's a necessary stopgap until we can transition away from it? Like, do you think we should transition away from it?
Absolutely.
You said earlier that you were sort of rare in the sense that you were local.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of workers that are coming in with this industry that don't own the communities that they are working in.
So what we got is the construction phase. Mm-hmm. Everybody comes in. It's just like when they're building a highway. Everybody comes in, builds that highway, and then they move out. And it's the same with this industry. Everybody comes in, they're building the industry, and then it's just going to be a matter of maintenance. And the amount of people it takes to keep it running is significantly lower than when they create it. You get a couple guys in a pickup truck that drive around and check on the wells and stuff. So sure, it's definitely a gold rush.
What's your most concerning part of the industry? If you had to pick, like, what are you most concerned about?
I'm going to circle back around to the radiation and the overall health of us, and that is the health of everybody.
They're taking this stuff to landfills. They're taking it. They're shooting it back into our ground. And they're taking it to landfills, down blending it, mixing it up with stuff to make each load seem less hot than it is, but it's still in there. They've just, right? I mean, so then it accumulates. They're taking it to landfills.
You don't see any bottle trucks pulling up to an offshore rig and hauling a brine away, do you? They're dumping that right in the sea. Where are the Saudis putting theirs? In the North Sea, where are they putting it up there? The really clean Norwegians.
One question is, we've talked a little bit about what you'd like to see changed and what the issues are that concern you. How do you think that happens?
Man, I have no idea. I'm so at a loss. I guess just doing what we're doing right here. Mm-hmm. We need
talking about it, right? Yeah. Right, with people and
talking about it, trying to build bridges instead of walls. And Tuesday, I have been invited to do testimony for House Bill 329 in the state of Ohio, Senate bill. I'm sorry, and I got a little 4-minute blurb that I typed out, and oh goodness, and they're actually calling right now.
Do you want to answer? Please do.
You sure?
Yes, absolutely answer.
Hello? Yeah, what a coincidence. Isn't that something? And you don't think they're listening. Snowden ain't all wrong.
He's one of my heroes, man.
He really is.
Edward, man.
I could not think of anything wrong with what he did.
Absolutely nothing. Talk about courage.
Yeah. To escape to Russia, to keep from being persecuted. Wow.
Well, and the journalist Glenn Greenwald, who Snowden chose to work with, he's one of my heroes too. Like I highly recommend paying attention to everything he's still putting out there because he's top notch. So you just got a call about what you were saying, which is?
And I was invited to do a testimony on Senate Bill 329, which is to ban a radioactive waste spread on the roads in Ohio. And ODOT has already decided not to use it without a ban. And the Turnpike Commission has decided not to use it without a ban. And many counties have decided not to use it without a ban. My township that I live in years ago decided they're not going to use it without a ban. But if they put it against the law or put a ban on it, then the few that are resistant to it, or for the good old boy network, or for whatever reason they're using to get rid of this radioactive waste, will be closed. It won't be an option. And one of the sentences, my very last sentence in there, is senators, by making this against the law, you're going to be ahead of the curve on things that are coming down the road with how bad this radiation is. And throw the Hail Mary, you know what I mean? To work on their emotions. But
I just can't believe that's even a thing.
Well, it isn't a thing if you don't think there's radiation in it.
Yeah.
So they got that amendment, that Beville Benson Beville amendment, and then all of a sudden it's like la 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 la. I don't need to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
I would love my mantra. If you look back, like on my social media and stuff, you'll see it repeated thousands of times, thousands plural. But we really need to separate corporations and state, just like we did church and state in the schools, or just like we did, supposed to do but instead we're going the other way around. But yeah, the corporations are really running it. And you would see if we did that, how much more responsible our representatives would be to the common working man if they weren't beholden to the corporations. It's blatantly obvious. And we just can't provide the money that the corporation can provide.
Well, that's the thing, is that we have to get to a point, and I think we were here at one point, and I wasn't alive when we were, but the idea that money is not everything. It is driving everything in our society.
Absolutely.
And it's I understand, I'm not naive enough to say it doesn't matter, but like, it can't be the only thing that matters to us.
And that's considered in the decisions.
But it's an easy benchmark. Even people that consider themselves not motivated by money, it's still a convenient benchmark. And the only people I know that are not motivated by money
are rich. Are you going to say that?
Well, have enough.
Have enough.
The really rich people, they got a different thing going on.
They want as much as they possibly can. Good point.
But us poor people, and I'm not poor. I mean, by graphs, I'm poor.
Working class.
Yeah, but people, could you imagine just going through school and your parents never have nothing, and what hope do you got? It's frustration, it's despondency, it's all those bad things rolled into one. And how would you crawl out of that hole? Mm-hmm. And that's why I looked at this industry as a blessing. Sure, I don't care if it's temporary. It's good for me today.
Well, you'll come back. I'd like for you to come back and tell us how the Senate hearing goes and get an update on that. And
I would be glad to come back. If you thought I can contribute anything positive, I'm here. I'm here for you guys, really. I'll fight. I'll go. You seen? I took flyers out at the truck stop with Billy. And it's freaking cold, and I feel like one of those Harry Kirshners when the guys are walking in from the Have you heard about the truckers movement? And, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. Well, it just takes a minute. We're offering free meals. And
I enjoy that event, didn't you?
it's so hard to get a guy to take his time out of his day. And it's like that with everything.
This is the first time I've met you. I really admire your positivity. I'm wondering, do you think that we need more positivity in our society?
Oh, do I? No, then I wouldn't stand out.
It seems like how do you stay positive with everything that you've been through, and where's that attitude come from?
I am literally the most miserable person in the world. And every morning when I get out of bed, I make a choice not to be. But it's so easy to fall into being miserable. That's the easy way out. That really is.
I agree. So if everybody could just understand how wonderful and the benefits you get from giving and being kind, it's the greatest thing you can do for yourself. Do you agree with that? Mm-hmm. Which once again comes back to the positivity. Well, Tom, I mean, I considered you pretty much an instant friend, and I really appreciate you. And I think the conversations we have, and I'm grateful to bring Stuart in, like, they're important because
you made it really easy to be nice. You talk about instant friend. I agree with that right back at you. That's a good way. And you too. It was fun having this conversation today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming.
And it's serious business, but it can still be fun.
And kind, and we learn. And I love your perspectives. You certainly are inspiring. And I know I've told you that before. Thank you so much.
I have a few people that don't believe that.
We all do. Well.
What do you think? Is that a wrap?
Yeah, I think so. Till next time.
Till next time.
Thanks for listening. If you found this conversation valuable, share it with someone who should be paying attention. And support the work that we're doing at exposurestudios.org and ohiovalleyallies.org.